I'm so excited that you're here. I'm going to be sharing how to create an app for a very specific purpose. And the app that I'm going to create is actually a content creation app to help so that you can easily create content for your audience. And I'm going to be showing two different tools today. So I don't want you to get overwhelmed. If you're new to vibe coding, feel free to let us know if you've ever created something before or if this is totally new to you. That way I know how to base my instruction. So if you haven't even heard of the term vibe coding, what we're going to do is basically take our words and turn them into an amazing product. Okay. And I'm also going to show you another tool, which is called Mindpal. So I'll explain a little bit about what both of those tools do and then why I'm combining them. The actual creation of this app is literally going to take about 5 minutes. But our session today is focused on the understanding of how we can combine all of these tools into a really dynamic product. Now, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to start by showing you. And I know you might be like, why are you advertising your school community? But I want to show you just a little bit about the place that I'm creating this and where I'm going to put it. So, in my school community called AI Amplified for Entrepreneurs, there are some different steps that I have the members take. And the first one is to anchor your vision. So, coming up with a very clear vision of your business, aligning your offers so that you know where you're directing people. And then the next phase is messaging with meaning. And in this anchoring section, everyone do a company blueprint. Basically, what that is, it's a document that will outline exactly who you are. It'll clarify statement, your brand voice, your ideal client, just so that you're crystal clear. And then you go in and add your offers. And the reason this is important is because when we're creating content, if we just use regular old ChatGPT, it's not going to be tailored to specifically what we need. And so by creating this blueprint, we're going to be able to use that and then create an app that will take that blueprint and combine it with the powerful tools that I'm creating to then be able to create our content. Okay. So I'm going to actually share with you the first tool that we're going to be using, which is called Mindpal. Now, if you've heard of Mindpal before, let me know. I am going to put, in case you decide you want to use this tool, I am going to put it in the chat and share that with you. Now, what I love about Mindpal is that I am able to little workflows that will allow me to go step by step and I can tell it what I want the output to be. Okay. And so, an example, when I click get started here, one of the workflows that I know that I need for this app is to be able to have an agent that will create blog posts. Okay. So I went ahead and created this one ahead of time just so you could see what it looks like. This particular agent is going to write, it's going to take my transcript. So what I often do is I'll record a video like this one, and then I'll use Descript. I'll have that transcript and I'll copy it. You don't have to have a transcript. You can just say, here's the concept that I have. And then I'm going to have it use that information plus a call to action and then create a blog post. These are the pieces that it's going to have: content structure, voice, social content ideation. So this is the goal of what it's going to do. It's going to create a meta description, keywords, table of contents, FAQ, section headline, all of that amazing information. And you might be like, where did you get all this? And literally, and I'll show you how to create these agents in just a second. But I literally had a little chat right before we started and it created all of this. Okay. Now, what's cool about it is I can go in here and say start chat, and then I'm going to be chatting with it in here. But for my purposes, I want this to be a tool that I'm putting into a beautiful package for my users. And so I'm going to show you how I'm going to take this agent in a little while and we're going to put it over on Mindpal. But for now, let's say I'm going to create a blog post. I'm going to create a blog post about the power of social media content and selling to your audience. Okay, so then it's going to come up with all of the ideas. It might ask me a few questions, call to action. I'll say CTA, join my free Facebook group, and let's see what it does. So this is just showing you that process. So it's going to think and it'll give me that blog post. Okay. Now, it's going to be generic because it's not based on knowing my information yet. Okay. So you can see that's working, looking great. The second tool I'm going to show you how to use today is called Base44. And this is the tool that's actually going to put all those little mini tools together. If you guys would go ahead and share with me, and Gail, I see your note about Mindpal being a little bit confusing, and I'm going to show you how we can totally design things in just a second here. Will you tell me if you can hear the crazy noise in the background? Hopefully you do not. Okay, so I want to get for you the link for Base44 in case you eventually want to try that out. I want you to have all of these links here. Great. Thank you so much, Julie. Gotta love it. It's just my ADHD that's going to be distracted. So I'll try to stay focused. Okay. And then if you're on Facebook, if you want to put show notes, and I'm going to send you those later. Now, secret little hint, all the show notes are, I'm going to take this, I'm actually going to model this all for you. I'm going to take my little workshop that I'm doing here, grab the transcript, and then put that over into a blog post. Genius. And then I have people who might be interested. So if you would like the show notes, just write that in I'll get it over to you. Okay. So I'm going to share with you now how I do my brainstorming. Okay. So this is the intro. I made sure you understood. What we're building today is a social media content hub that's going to help people generate content. One important thing is that I want to have them enter their information first in my app so that they don't have to keep repeating it. Okay. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to ask for in just a moment. But what is their username? What is their company details? What are their offerings? So that you're going to enter that in the app once and then you don't have to enter it again. Okay. So that information is going to be shared with the tools in the app. Now, here's step one. I had to think really about what do I want to collect from the user? Okay. So these are the things that I know I'm going to collect. Their name, company website, company offerings, ideal client, brand voice, buying beliefs, and what platforms they post on. Okay. Then I want to think about the workflows that I do. So I'm going to share with you 6 workflows. Now, we might not get to all of these, but I want to show you the ones that I'm going to use. The first workflow I want to think about is a content brainstormer. So for this tool, the user is going to add any holidays, themes, or promotions. And I want the output to be a table with ideas for content for the month. And I want it to be based on buying beliefs. So why me? Why this? Why you? Why now? Why not? So this tool is where really you're going to be starting for the month. You're going to get a lot of content ideas from there. And then you're going to go into some other tools that will help you create the content. Okay. So those tools that I'm going to have, I'm going to make a LinkedIn creator and it's going to create viral LinkedIn content. I'm going to make an Instagram creator, which will create slide ideas for carousel creation. And we'll even say short video clip suggestions. I want a blog creator, and that's the one I showed you just now. So where you could enter a transcript from a video or blog content, and then it'll create the blog post. Another one I want to create is a multi-platform content repurposer. So I'm going to give it a blog or a transcript, and then it'll create posts for LinkedIn and Facebook. And then the last workflow that I'm going to create is one for YouTube. So I'll enter the transcript, and then this one's going to be amazing. It's going to create a short recap for email, 5 possible YouTube titles, a YouTube video description, 3 thumbnail ideas, 5 key quotes, and then 2 posts for social media. Okay. So just so we're clear, I'm building all of those. Each of those tools, I'm going to build them first with Mindpal. Okay. And then we're going to set it up on Base44. So I'm going to head back over here and I'm going to show you. So just so you have a little lay of the land, there's 2 different things in Mindpal. There's agents and there's workflows. An agent is more of a conversation back and forth. A workflow is when you're building step by step. Okay. So I'm going to show you. This one has already been done and it's the content brainstormer. So here we go. It has all of those beliefs. It says the primary goal, whatnot. So this step is creating the agent. Now, if you're getting overwhelmed by Mindpal, I want you to not worry about that now because I can do another training that goes even deeper into this. So step 1 is to create the agent. Step 2, because I want to embed this on my app, I need to create a chatbot. So right here, you can say publish as chatbot. For the chatbot, the brain is the content brainstormer. That's the agent that I created. Next, I'm going to set up the identity, content brainstormer chatbot. I'm just going to call it constant. Okay. So here is where I can add an avatar, which is like a little logo. And I have some ready to go. Here's my content brainstormer. Okay, so it's going to have that logo there. And then the description, I'm going to say helps users create ideas for content for the month. Now, hi, I'm Content Brainstormer. And so this is like the welcome message. So here I'll say conversation starters ready to go. Or I could say click here to start. That's probably better. Click here to start. Now, for the chat interface, you can change the brand colors. And what I like to do is always use my brand colors. So I'll just grab that real fast. Okay. And then that should be good. I leave the Mindpal badge visible because that way it's connected to an affiliate code. So if anyone runs it and they're like, hey, that's cool, then you can do that. I'm not going to change anything for capture user info. What I am going to do is control access. And what I'm going to click here of these things is enable custom user ID. Now I'm going to pause here and explain. What that means is on the app I'm creating over on Base44, which we haven't done yet, it's going to assign each user, because I'm going to tell it to, a user ID. So I'm going to enable this, and this is so cool. So what it's going to do is take the user ID, and then when they're chatting with this chatbot, it's going to save the information. This is going to be so cool. Now, for advanced, and yes, Julie, you are correct. Mindpal agents are like gems and custom GPTs, except they're even easier, honestly, to build because you can tell it do this and it will go out and research all of the best practices. And I'm going to show you like when we create like an Instagram one, it's so easy to use. And if you already have instructions created, you can use those as well. I also want to pause here to say you don't have to use Mindpal. So if you've already created a custom GPT and you have that knowledge and that information, you can put that right on Base44. You don't have to do this tool, but this is just what I'm building for today. All right. The last thing I want to do before configuring this chatbot, I'm going to right here, this last one. I can change these. This can get annoying because it notifies you every time a conversation is run, but I'll leave that on for now just so I can monitor the usage. There is a rate limit. So I could say, I only want, I'm going to add a custom rule. I'm going to say per IP address, I'm only going to let them run this 10 times a day. You could change it to 2 times a day, whatever. For the app that I'm building, it's going to be behind my school community. So only people who are in there can be using it. If you're creating an app that you want to sell or market to others, that will change some of these features as well as how you set up your app. And I'll get to that in a moment. But the important thing right here is enable custom session context. Now, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Remember when we talked a little bit about the things we're going to collect from the user? I'm going to collect that on Base44. But I want this tool that I'm creating to reference that. That's where that power comes in of not having to recreate entering your information every single time. So what I'm going to do here is, and I'll move this over, I'm going to, where it says enable custom session, I'm going to enable that. And then I'm going to add the label for each of these things. Now, this is annoying because I have 7 different things that I want to add here. So I'm going to put these labels. I'm just pasting the labels and I'm going to be consistent over each of the 6 chatbots that I create with these same concepts so that they'll always reference that from the user. While I'm copying and pasting these, if you're here on Zoom, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself or just ask in the chat if there's anything that's unclear. And I know this is a lot, this is quite a few pieces. So thanks for your patience, but you're going to be wowed that like in 1 hour, we're going to have this amazing tool built out. Okay, so I just have 2 more little labels to add here, and then we'll be finished. Okay, so I'm going to click plus. So now all of those things are added, and I'm going to click create and publish now. So if you remember, the steps were step 1, we created an agent. Step 2, we created the chatbot from the agent. And now this is the important part. I could totally use this on Mindpal, how it is now, but I want to grab an embed code. Okay. And the reason why is I'm going to take that embed code and I'm going to use it when we get over to Base44. So here's the embed code. And you can put these on all different kinds of places. But what I'm going to do is select Base44. I want an embedded section. It's an iframe. And click continue. Now I'm going to copy this prompt. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste it because, and again, I suggest creating a Google Doc or something where you flesh out your ideas before, like I said, the Base44 part, it just takes seconds to build, but it's important to have a clear structure before starting. So I created a tab of my embed codes. You remember there's 6 things I'm creating: a content brainstormer, LinkedIn creator, Instagram, blog creator, blah, blah, blah. So the one we just built is the content brainstormer. So now I'm going to go to this little tab here, content brainstormer. And then here is the embed code. Okay. And I could just have that and copy and paste. All right. So that one is finished. Okay. Funny story. I had already done that one. How nice of me to have replicated it for you, but that's okay. It's good practice. Here's the SEO blog builder chatbot. And I'll check. I think I pasted that here. No, I did. Let's see. Blog creator. Yes. So that one is done. Okay, now let's do a LinkedIn creator. This should be a little bit more simple. Actually, I'm going to model for you the YouTube workflow because that one's pretty robust. I'm going to go back to my tools here. And here's what I said I wanted it to do. The user is going to enter a transcript. And then here's what I want the AI to do. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to go to the home button and I'm going to tell it, I want you to create a workflow as follows. And the reason I'm selecting workflow this time instead of agent is because there's multiple steps that it needs to run. And it's going to actually create a workflow with multiple agents working in there. Okay. So you'll notice on my screen that it is going to just work at building this out. So here's the workflow steps. Okay. So we're going to let that build for a second. I'm also going to, while it's waiting, do the Instagram creator because why not? So I'll go to Mindpal again, log in, and the Instagram creator can just be, we'll do a workflow for that one as well. Say create a workflow where users enter their topic and it creates the following. Now, technically, I could have run one and it would create all these, but I don't want to confuse you. So I'm going to go back to the chat. So here we go. It's actually got, I think, a couple of questions. Okay, they enter the transcript. It generates a short recap, the thumbnail ideas. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to say save workflow. Okay, now I'm going to go to a place that's called View in Builder. And this is what a workflow looks like. It's different from the agent. And I do apologize because I know this could be totally confusing. This is a lot of credits per run. So I definitely want to be aware of that. With your Mindpal account, you get certain credits that are added in, but you can also add in your OpenAI connection so that it uses that to run on. So when I publish this, it's just like the other agent. I'm going to publish in zip 4. I'm going to customize the settings again. So I'd come in here. We're going to call this YouTube generator, create custom assets from the content provided, something along those lines. Again, we customize the interface. We can upload a file and change the brand's color again. I'm not going to do all of these. I'm just going to do 2 so you can see how it looks. I'm going to do control access. Remember, I want to enable user ID. That's required. And then advanced, again, this is where I'm going to enter the custom session context. Now, I'm going to change this one to a custom rule, and I'm going to have it do one per day so that I'm careful of that. And then I'll copy my labels here. So you can see right here, this is actually what it's going to look like. Okay. I'm going to change my instructions just a little bit to say, upload your video transcript. And this tool will create content for you. And I could even add that description of what it's going to give them. You will get a short recap for email 5. Okay, perfect. Thank you for your patience while I quickly copy it over these things. And we are ready to rock in just a second over on Mindpal. Feel free, if you have any questions, type them in the chat. If you're live on the Zoom there. Okay, image generation. This is so cool. Yes, it can. You can also have it use like Nano Banana. I haven't played that much with the image generation piece, but it has that capability. In fact, and I'll show you where this is, in any of these tools that you build, you can tell it what you want, like which LLM that you wanted to use. I'm going to say yes on Gemini. I'm not positive about that because I haven't explored that yet. But I'm assuming if it takes OpenAI, it would do the same there. And you guys, I'm telling you, Mindpal is like, it was mind blowing, the things that you could use and create. And I think the benefit of it is if you are a person who's wanting to create and sell tools, you can make these and customize it like any of your clients. You could make these for, if you want to make them for your own, if you have a community or a group, the possibilities are seriously endless. Okay, I'm going to say save changes. And then the last thing that I need to do is get that embed code. So I'm going to click embed code, Base44, and then copy the prompts. And just for my record keeping, so I don't remake that again, here's my YouTube workflow. That's the embed code. Okay. All right. So we will pretend that I have the other ones here. I'll probably come back and just add those in. But our next step is to set up Base44. Now, if you've never used Base44, this is what it looks like when you first log in or come to their website. And you can say, start building. Now, if this is your first time and you're starting out, you'll probably have an account that's going to have 25 credits. Every time you give it a command, it's going to cost you credits. So you will find out if you do not give specific prompts, you're going to have to go back and give a lot of instructions. So it's really important. And I always use, like I said, a Google Doc or even a piece of paper to just write out like what exactly you want to see happen. I'm also going to share with you one of the resources that I have found, which I really use. It's Base44, and it lets you create prompts. So like you can use this. I should probably also have clarified, like blah, blah, blah. I know there's a million different ways to create an app. I personally have just been very invested in Base44. This company has been around for a very short time, but they have done amazing things. It was recently, like in the fall, purchased by Wix. So they have just a ton of different resources that they've added. So the opportunities, I think, are really great for growth, and they listen to feedback. So like at first it was totally impossible to integrate Stripe. Now it's an integration. So on the back end, again, if you want to charge for your app, you just go in, enter your Stripe API key, boom, and you have it. So here is like the conversation part where I'm going to paste the prompt. What I put to you in the chat there is just a tool if you want to use it to help you create a strong prompt. I went ahead and created my prompt already. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to read it to you. I want to create an app called Content Amplifier that enables content creators to generate, create, purpose social content across platforms. This should be personalized with their brand voice, profile via custom user ID, and custom session content. Contest. These are the things that I want them to include. Now, something I added is right here. What we do is it says, so I think I told you earlier, I have my brand voice blueprint. And so what I want to do is have users either be able to fill this information out or simply upload that PDF. I'll show you how that comes in just a minute. So here we go. These are the things I want to collect. Those are the things I was pasting in over there. Profile data persistence, stores in the database, custom user ID system, session context passing mechanism. So it'll take their profile data from the embedded agents and then navigation between the agents. Yes, Gail, I will have a recording. I'm going to make this a little bit prettier and put it on YouTube. See, look at that content rating are missing. Okay, the user profile reminder should be on the main page, but on the specific agent pages, will only show the embedded information. I tell it my colors I want it to use, and then I say, for now, just create a page for each of these agents. I'll give you the embed code later. And then it shows the 6 agents. Now, that was a lot. Again, if you're like, I don't know how to get that prompt, we could totally use that prompt creator. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it over here on Base44. Now, it is literally as simple as that. And what you're looking at now is the workspace for this particular app. So on the left-hand side, this is where you have conversations and talk back and forth. And as you can see, it is capturing all that information that I said before. And then it's going to build it. This is also where I can chat back and forth with it to tell it, hey, fix this or change this or add on this. All of those instructions, though, count for a credit. So if you are mindful, you can get by with just a starter account. And then as you grow, you can build, because I am going to tell you, for those of you, you can comment if you've done this. Once you start building, you're going to come up with 5 million other ideas of apps that you want to create. I have made one for my personal finances. I have made one for my to-do list. The possibilities are endless. In this part here is where it's going to actually show you the preview once it's created these things. Okay. There's also something called a dashboard, and this is the behind the scenes, and it will show you the back end. And there's a couple of things I'm going to just share and remind you of when you're building an app like this, because security is important. And Base44 does handle all of that. Yes, Base44 can run off your API keys as well. So in the dashboard, there's an area called secret keys, and you would enter in any API connections that you want. It can handle all of those. That's where you'll put your Stripe connection, your Base44 or API from chat, whatever. You can put all of that in there. Now, let's come back while we're waiting and check in. This was our blog creator, which we have that. Okay, so the next step when this comes in is to actually paste in our embed codes. So what I'm going to do, since we have only had 3 of these created, I'm going to this here. And I'm going to put these guys together. And this is for my own personal notes so that I remember to come back and create those. Okay. So we'll put, and then I'll paste this at the bottom. And then I'm going to highlight all of these. Those are those embed codes. And again, this is just so that I can just copy them all at once. Okay. Holy smokes. I love it. Okay. So this is our finished product. Amplify your content. Create, repurpose, and scale your social content with AI agents personalized to your brand voice. Okay, now I don't want to show you the profile yet, but you can see here are our agents. Okay, now right now, if I go into them, they should be blank agent coming soon because it doesn't have the embed code yet, which is perfect. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste all of that stuff over here. And I'm just going to tell it, please add these embed codes to these 3 agents. All right. There we go. While that's working, I'm going to show you what this brand profile looks like. So when I click here, it says quick setup with AI. Now, when I really get in here and I dive in a little bit further, I may come back and say, okay, that's really hard to see because of the black. Can you make the background whatever? So you can come in and refine all those details. But I want to show you how valuable this is. So now, again, for the people in my school community, which it's only $30 a month. That's like maybe 3 or 4 cups of coffee at Starbucks. You should totally join. But this company blueprint that they've created, again, I'll show you what that looks like. This one's going to be blank, but it's going to have all of that information, their bio, their value statements, their unique differentiators. And there's all these tools that help them build all this out. So then what I can do now is come back to my project and I'm going to upload my company blueprint. Now, I might, yeah, guys, this tree is so ridiculous. I'm so sorry, but that's life, right? Let's see. Oh, we'll go to my desktop. I have saved here my AI coaching with Angelina details. Okay. So I'm going to add that. Now, if someone hadn't completed that, they could just go in and type all this information out, right? But what's super cool is within seconds, they are going to be set up and running because they have that blueprint done. The AI, because I told it to, I programmed that with my words, is going to grab their company details and it's going to fill in this profile. Okay, so Gail said, when someone is running one of the agents, is it using tokens from Mindpal? And yes, it is. And so you do need to be aware of that. And if you're selling it, I'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe even put your use case in there, what you're thinking. Because if you're going to sell it as like a standalone tool, you can actually build in, like they only get 30 credits. They only get 30 runs of the different tools. So that way you can see how things go. And if you didn't use Mindpal and you were only setting it up on Base44, here on this little guy, you can, that would be a circle, the orange circle. It shows you your settings. So like for credit usage, for example, there's 2 different kinds of credits on Base44. There's monthly messages, which is my conversations back and forth on creating an app. And then there's integration credits, which those are what the users of my app are using. Now, I have a pretty big plan, which has quite a lot of credits. But again, you can start small, see how far it takes you, and then upgrade if you need to. They have all different kinds of, I don't know where that setting is, all different kinds of plans. Because I was using it so much, I was like, I'm just going to buy it for the year. Okay, so let's go back to my apps. Here's content amplified. And yes, you can sell a set of your agents. Let me see if I understand this right. Can you sell a subset of your agents to your audience for a particular agent access on and off for specific users? Yeah, I would say if you wanted to sell it as a suite, and again, Julie, I'm sorry, I don't know your business model, but if you wanted like, maybe there's just a couple for content creation and then a couple for maybe there's like podcasting and there's different agents for that. So you could bundle them and sell them that way. That's another idea. Yes, multiple suites of bundles. So you could create as many apps as you want on Base44. So you would just create another app that has certain things here. Okay, so I was here. And of course, I clicked off of this, so it didn't save my company blueprint. So I'll just add that one. Okay, so it's going to extract that information. And yes, each bundle would be its own app if you wanted to structure it that way. I mean, you would even sell them independently. What I like about combining Mindpal and Base44 is that really is very structured in what you're offering, if that makes sense. Okay, so it captured all of my information. It knows my company offerings, my ideal client, my brand voice, and my buying goals. and it knows that I use Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and check LinkedIn and YouTube. I do have a podcast, and then I'm going to click save. Okay. So now it's saved. And now I show you the magic. And yes, young, you are correct. You do not have to use Mindpal. I just wanted to model because I like the fact that it is going to be so specific. So I'm going to show you, this is the blog agent. Now I can tell already that I don't love this. I'm going to do maybe YouTube workflow next. So this one says, upload your video transcripts and this tool will create the content for you. You'll get a short recap for email, optimized titles, and the description. Now this is a pretty big one. I'm going to see if I could grab my video. I'm going to go to Descript and grab just like a small clip there. And this workflow might take a little while to run. So we'll see. I'll do this one. I should probably show you what I'm doing. Sorry. So what I do, my process is for my podcasts or my videos that I do, I always put the video here. And then this is the script. And then here's the transcript. So, and it has the features if I wanted to put it on YouTube or whatever. But what I like about this, it's going to really be personalized to me and my content now, right? Here we go. So here's the transcript, and I'm going to push continue. Now, this prompt may take a little while. What's super cool about this is, and maybe to your point, whoever to ask the question, this is going to save the session history. So every time I run this, I can come back to the session and the conversation that I had. Okay. All right. So look at this magic. Here is a recap for email. So I try to send a weekly email. So now what I can do is copy this into my weekly email. And it's going to move on to the next topic. And it's going to work on those YouTube titles. And it knows the tasks. Now, one thing that I want to mention. Oh, look, it's so smart. It even figured out that the embed code mentioned ideal client, and that was mapped to user ID. And that was actually wrong. It should have been mapped to ideal client field from the file, and it fixed it for me. How amazing is that? A couple of tools while that's working is right here, you can click discuss. And if you want to change this so that you only are charged zero point 0.3 credits when you're talking back and forth to it, you could do that. You can use a visual edit if you want. You can also upload screenshots, which I do a ton because I'll say, ooh, I don't like this part here. It doesn't know what this part here is. So I show it a screenshot and say, fix that. Okay, so now I have 5 SEO titles that are created. Here's a YouTube description. And even while this is working, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I actually want it to create timestamps. So I could come back and add that. And now anytime I want to change how this runs, I just have to go to my Mindpal instructions and I can fix it. Now it's coming up with ideas for the thumbnail creator. Gosh, that's hysterical. It's going hardcore. So again, for this, you could copy and paste that right over to Nano Banana and you have your image for YouTube. Think of the time this is going to save. This is amazing. Yes, you can add the rules for SEO keywords in your YouTube description copy. That's correct. Yes. Now, another idea that I'm going to throw out there. So I'm going to create this for my school users. However, I'm actually going to go in and recreate it for my own self because you can be even more specific in your instructions on Mindpal. You can give it sample images if you want it for your YouTube images. There's just so many different pieces and you can really customize it. So now it's giving me 5 quotes. Oh my gosh, this is actually perfect. So what I like to do is make quote cards after I do my podcast. And oh my gosh, this is amazing. So what I do is I take that and then add it to an image to talk about my podcast. And then now here are some social media topics. Now, says something was wrong. Oh, it exceeded a token limit. So I would have to go back and look into why it did that. Quite sure that final output because honestly, this is finished. Okay, so that is my YouTube generator. Now, if I go back to the dashboard here, let's see what the content brainstormer is all about. Okay, so I'm going to say I want to promote my school community without sounding salesy. Build this around my customer buying beliefs. I probably don't even have to tell that. And then it might not know about my school community. So I'm going to go to the About page and grab that content. And now I'm going to pop that in chat here. And while it's doing that, I think someone had said, if you wanted the link to join that, pop that there. If you're watching live on Facebook and you want the show notes, if maybe you missed the conversation before, feel free to drop it in the word show notes. Let's see. Okay, tiers a month for Mindpal. I believe I'm on the $49 plan, but I don't have to really worry so much about the tokens because I'm using my OpenAI key. And then let's see what else. And then the same with Base44. It doesn't use that many tokens because it's running these from Mindpal, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's see what this came up with. Now, I don't like this. So again, because I'm doing it live, I can see that this didn't come out the way that I wanted. So I'm going to go back to that brainstormer. And I actually want to have it take those beliefs and now come up with content ideas. So I don't want the user to have to figure that out. Come up with content ideas on how to promote my community this month. What are the key concepts I can highlight? So again, it's so awesome because I'm trying this out. I'm using it. I know what I want the end to be like. And I can see this didn't really hit the mark. So now I could just come back over to Mindpal and I'll go, I think that was an agent, a chatbot. So I can come over here to my agent, go to my chatbot. And actually the brains of the chatbot is the content brainstormer. So I could come in here and I can see the directions are wrong because it just said buying belief and then a content idea. So I want it to actually the output to really give them the ideas. And I may want to come back and change that into a workflow. And I'm not sure because that output isn't really what I wanted. So you get the idea. I'll come back and add LinkedIn, Instagram, podcast, repurposer. Here's the blog builder. So I could ask it to build out my blog there. So I'm going to stop sharing and just see if there are any questions as we wrap things up today. And yes, scale OpenAI key on Mindpal. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. Now, a couple of things for those of you watching. If you want to build something like this, you'll rewatch this. It's not enough information. Just let me know. I do one-on-one sessions with people. So like maybe you start out, you get 90% of the way there, you need some help. We can work one-on-one together. I also have a school community where I'm really teaching others how to set up their business with AI, how to utilize these tools in their messaging. And we meet every week. It's a really great community of people. And then obviously we have our free Facebook groups. Anytime you need support, I'm here for you. And I want to show you one last thing, which is actually super important. So let me share with you on Base44 this is something that you need to do is to go into the dashboard. And again, these are the backend things. You can connect custom domains here. You can also change the name. So they give you like a built-in domain, and I don't mind it for this thing, but it's going to be called content creator. That name might be taken. Amplifier. Okay, so now that's not a custom domain, but I don't need it to be for this purpose. But you can actually set up a custom domain. There's all kinds of other things you can add in here. So, like, you can say, if you want to send emails to people as they're using it, you can send them from here. There's automations you can set up. Another thing that I'm going to change is to check the security. I'm going to do a security run. So right now you can see, and this would be not good. If I let people come in here, they can see each other's brand profiles. So I'm going to start a quick security check and change it so that only the user sees their profile. And it'll actually give me, it'll say this is the recommendation that we want to make. So we'll say apply fixes. And now that's done. That's good. I also, under app settings here, you can change the app logo if you want. You can change the visibility. And then here for authentication, I'm just going to have them use their Google authentication to log in. And then all I have to do is publish. You guys, I hope I'm sharing the right screen. I have a bad feeling I'm not. Hey, thanks. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Let's try that again. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so where I changed all of those things was, there we go. Okay, so I did the security check here. So I did start security check. It offered me the suggestions. App settings are in here. There's the logo, the description, all that good stuff. If you want to add, if you have the higher plan, you could hide the platform badge. And then authentication, this is where I changed to only be Google authentication. And then here under domains is where I did that. Now, analytics is also new. You have to publish your app, but that is awesome. So it can show how many people are live on your site. This is going to be super helpful because I'm doing a lot of vibe coding on creating vibe coded websites for people. And so this will be helpful to see how that translates with SEO and AEO. So publish over here, I'm going to go ahead and publish the app. There we go. And as easy as that, in 1 hour and 5 minutes, we went from concept to ready to share over on my classroom. So that'll be under message with meaning.